whole second season is a revamp of what we originally wanted to do. When you approach it from a character point of view, it helps you guide it. So we kind of talked about and mapped out where we want to be. We know Fang was going to have kids and all this kind of stuff, and so we started to build a story that works around that.
Now they're a family, and they're all that they have, so they're fighting for each other completely.
And so the process is we'll have an idea, and then Derek and I, and maybe the storyboard artist, if there's one, we'll sit down and we'll break down the story. And so then Derek will write a 1 to 2 page outline for a 22-minute cartoon. We'll get that approved. Then we'll start storyboarding. From that point on, it gets divided into design, where we have our character designers start designing, and then we have our background designer design the backgrounds, the environments. Then I start doing the timing. Then the backgrounds go to Scott.
For me, I'm always trying to find unexpected solutions. So it has to work, obviously, the colors and the lighting. But if I can get it to a point where you're like, oh my God, that's so weird, or that's so unexpected, that's the hardest part for me. That's always a challenge. I think you're always looking for that.
Yes.
So anything I do, I always have this fear that, oh, that's mundane or generic. And it's like, I need to come up with something so creative and so new. And I always joke with Genndy that somehow I have to invent new colors that don't exist, And that's the hardest part is it's how do you do something that no one's seen before?
And then that goes to our studio in France called Studio La Cachette. They were amazing that they could do this in the time that we needed to. I mean, it's definitely a longer schedule than a normal TV show that we used to do, but there's a lot more of a personal touch. We've had good animation before in Jack and Clone Wars and stuff, but this animation has actually breathes more. And that's the thing about real animation is, especially for acting. Action, you can probably, cheat your way through it. But with acting, if you don't have the right head turn, even sometimes the right blink, like an eye dart, if that's not done properly, then the characters don't live as much. And that's the thing. That's the magic of animation, probably why I got into it in the first place, is you're manufacturing from nothing these characters, right? And they actually come alive.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the most bizarre and amazing thing to me, that you can make something live.
When we were recording A Cold Death, there was a particular scene where Spear breathes out real heavy. And when I did it, you went, he's alive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's so hard to get the right grunt, the right effort sometimes, the right scream. And when Aaron was doing it, it made it so easy.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is struggle with, can you do this pitch lower, higher, whatever. He became Spear, and then it was very natural.
Any emotion that I would drum up to do the voice of Spear comes from the animation. A lot of times when you're recording a cartoon character, you're recording it first, or at least from an actor's perspective. Right. You're just kind of trying to get it to where the director wants it. But in this instance, I'm seeing it completely. Yeah. So Spear's reacting to his environment, and he really is. Because I'm reacting to it for the first time, too.
It's very frustrating to get that beforehand.
Yeah. Mira.
And then it goes to our sound effects designer. And Joel knows we have the same language.
Yeah.
And you think it's very these things should be loud, these things should be soft, but it's not. It's completely creative. And to get the right dynamics, to get you to watch something and to actually feel it. That was the thing.
When I started out, I just started resourcing animals, just lots of animals. I bought lots of libraries of animals that were previously recorded.
So to create the sound effect of the pterodactyl, we used the boat cactus recordings. I like that little section right here for one call. And you'll notice that the pterodactyl call is made up of 3 elements for each call. So here we are, we have our cactus. And we're going to pitch it down an octave or 2. In this instance, we're going to pitch it down 2 octaves. And then we're going to place the pitcher. And then with the added sound elements, squawk, scratchy, low. We play a couple of these elements with it to see how it all supports it. So. There you go.
Same thing with music. If I'll go, you know, dun 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 dun, Tyler knows where I'm after, and then he'll kind of fill it in properly.
Primal is different than any other TV show we work on and movie that we work on together, because when Genndy comes and we do the spotting session, it's an absolute blank slate. Obviously, there's no dialogue in the show to begin with, but we don't have sound effects, we don't have a temp score, and it's so inspiring to have a blank slate because your imagination just starts running wild of what can happen in that scene.
First time I sat down with Genndy in front of a computer and he was showing me storyboards, the first frame comes up and he's like, and we're down in the forest. This is black and white drawings, and he's going, and he's doing the sound effects. I'm thinking, how long is he going to go with this?
As he's got the axe reared back, we pull out, the music comes back in. What's he gonna do? It's kind of stormy, subtly stormy clouds, and they're panning. And all of a sudden the sun starts to come out, and then the music swells and swells, and he closes his eyes, and finally whoosh, swings down. She bursts open.
But what it does is it really is a great indicator of the dynamics and the energy level and the shift in the way that he's expressing himself or explaining the show to us. Gives us a very clear idea from one scene to the next how to scale that musically.
Charles was just lecturing us on how we're no different from savages.
The inspiration behind the Primal Theory episode was something we had early on. And basically, the second season, the theme is about evolution, about Spear's growth and his place in this new civilization that he's discovering, that they land upon this new world. And it's a really complex thought, and I wasn't sure if people were going to get it to a degree. And so I wanted somebody to talk about it without our characters talking about it.
Though I do not dispute the fact that we have descended from Neanderthals, the very notion that somehow, under duress, we can revert back is simply preposterous.
And I thought, like, oh, that's so cool to have this juxtaposition of the most formal gentlemen, scientists, scholars discussing the most brutal thing.
Right.
So that gave us some nice context, you know, and that's all it was to give us context for the span of the show.
Yeah. and the ability to show that even though we do have our clothes and our complex lives that we lead, we're not that far away from being primal savages, And that was kind of the beauty of the episode is the fact that these men are very learned and they think that they're very scholarly, but then if push came to shove, they would have to devolve back into their state, because ultimately it's still the same core principles of shelter, food, safety. And by pushing them into a situation like that, it reveals the true nature of mankind, So that was always fun for us.
And the way we've always told the stories from the beginning was there's a little bit left for the audience. It's not completely always black and white. There's always a little gray. Uh-oh, he escaped. Hi, Winston.
Fang.
Yeah, so the dogs are a huge influence in the show. Scarlett, she has such a mischievous personality, and she would snore, and she would try to take food.
It's fun to see how she worked her way into early things like Fang sitting around a campfire.
And so it's all these things that was a big influence on Fang. But again, making sure that Fang doesn't become a pet. Right. That was, I think, the most important thing. But yeah, the dog was, a lot of the experiences that I had with her, really, I brought into the show.
What are some of the Easter eggs in season 2?
Well, there's one big one.
Yeah, there's a huge one. Scott, you tell us what it is.
I can only think of the helmet from Samurai Jack with the little dog on top. I'm sure a lot of people saw that.
And there you have it.
The big idea is to possibly turn Primal into an anthology show. So it's the, visual storytelling, adult, hardcore, raw emotions, but different characters. It could be World War II, it could be aliens, it could be whatever, it doesn't matter. So that's the big idea, and then we'll see.
You get such glee from playing with people's expectations. Like I say, you're just like, people are not gonna know what is happening. The thing you hate the most is the expected.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so to deliver that completely out of left field, I mean, honestly, you get such a joy out of that.
I mean, that's what storytelling is. Storytelling should be, at least in my opinion, whatever, is a mystery.
Right.
And you start to unravel this mystery, and you pick up clues, and you start to put things together, and next thing you know, you have this really fun viewing.
Whoever's watching this, thank you so much for watching it. It's been our pleasure to do this for you, to inform you of anything you were curious about. But what I really want to say is, so long.